Okay, it's hot in that corner. Hey, welcome back. It's fall now, so we're gonna do a kind of fall pasta. I love squash. We're gonna do a squash pasta. Pretty simple, like subtle flavors. I think like doing the really like heavily spiced squash stuff that's been done, that's all over YouTube already, and like, you know, pumpkin and all that stuff. So we'll do something a little bit different, but we'll still use things that are in season, of course. Before we get started, if you guys can show me some support, leave a like if you can, leave a comment, and if you can watch till the end of the video and help my watch time go up. Yeah, well, let's get started. Okay, I took the liberty of prepping this stuff. Fucking dogs. Okay, so I prepped a little bit of this stuff ahead of time, these fucking dogs. This is just a whole onion, a whole white onion, and a butternut squash. That's basically all that's gonna be in our sauce, other than veg stock. If you need to know how to make veg stock, you can watch the video from a few days ago where I explain how to make it. I'm gonna show you how to use it in this video. But also, if you don't have time to make veg stock, feel free to buy some. Just make sure that you buy the either reduced salt or no salt added so that you can control the seasoning yourself. And I apologize for the dogs. So I got some oil heating up. This is a little bit of the garlic oil that I made in another video. If you haven't watched that video, go check it out. And I have it heated up pretty hot. And I'm just gonna lay this stuff in here. Kind of whatever the biggest side is, I want that down. The dog is out of control. Okay, we're gonna have to lose some light because I can't handle this dog. So we're gonna let that char. And I'm gonna shut the door. I'm sorry if the lighting goes bad, but we usually keep the door open for lighting because we don't have a, you know, nice film set type thing here. I'm gonna season this with a bit of salt, and you just kind of want to leave it alone. So I've talked about charring in a few other videos. It's like almost to the point of burning something. You do want it to blacken a little bit, and what happens is you burn some of the natural sugars in there, and it gives this really, really deep flavor, as opposed to like, you could just simmer an onion and squash in veg stock, and then you could puree it, and it would taste fine. You know, if it was seasoned properly, it tastes fine. You're not like kind of getting the most out of your ingredients. Instead of using more ingredients to layer flavor, we can just use what we have and use a little bit of technique to layer some more flavor by pulling out the sugar that's naturally in these two ingredients. Let them go, wait till they char a little bit, mix them around, maybe char them on the other side too if you want, and then we'll top it up with some veg stock, simmer them until they're soft, and we'll just puree it. Super easy sauce, and season it. As you can see, we got some char, right? We got some blackness. We got that, it's kind of a small pot, so it's hard to see. We got that on the onion too, that bit of char. So all I'm gonna do is top this up with veg stock. And I have more just in case it ends up being too thick after we blend it. But yeah, we're just gonna bring that up to temperature, simmer it until everything's soft, and then we'll blend it and adjust kind of how thick it is. I got water boiling for the noodles. I'm just using a dried noodle today. I haven't made fresh pasta yet, but honestly I'm not great at it, and it was never really my forte, but I will do it. I can make gnocchi decently. I can make some noodles decently, so hopefully in the future I will get to how to make fresh pasta. Well, I definitely will. I've just been putting it off a little bit. So I'm just using a dried noodle. You can get really high quality dried noodles. Look for ones with semolina flour, good amount of salt in the water, and much more water than you need. I know this doesn't look like a ton, but we're making one bowl. So I'm just gonna do 3 little scoops. A little extra for good measure. Yeah, you want about like 4 times the amount of water to pasta. That's what will prevent it from sticking. Some people think like putting oil in the water helps it, but it doesn't. What happens is that oil ends up, because oil and water don't blend, you end up draining the water and the oil stays on the pasta. And then your sauce doesn't cling to your pasta because it's covered in oil, so that it can't touch the starch that's against the noodle. So never put any oil in your water. Stir frequently, use enough water that it doesn't stick, and just make sure you're stirring it, and make sure your water is seasoned. You want it about as salty as the ocean. That's it, and we'll drain it, and then we'll finish the sauce. Okay, let's finish this pasta. We're gonna take all this stuff to the blender. You know what, I'm gonna do this in the sink because I just don't trust myself. Life hack, do this. Hopefully it all fits in my blender. Oh yeah, baby. Oh, it smells good. We're just gonna blend this until super smooth. When I have hot stuff in a blender, I get a little paranoid, and I've seen this happen too many times over the years. So I just put a cloth over top, just in case any seeps out onto your fingers because it's so hot. While that finishes blending, I'm just gonna drain my pasta. Now when I drain pasta, I always make sure that I have a cup underneath because I wanna catch some of this starchy water. It's good to have if you need to thicken your sauce. So I'll just drain it over that, and I'll just let that sit till we're ready to assemble. And now I got all this starchy water in case I need it. I have a feeling I won't need it, but it's better to have it. You're pouring it out anyway. I feel like it's pretty smooth. Oh baby, she's smooth. So this is perfect. We've got nice consistency. It's not too thick. The squash obviously thickens it quite a bit. Check where your seasoning is kind of at now. And I'm gonna get my noodles into this pan with some sauce. Just so that it soaks up some of this sauce. And the nice thing about being a little bit on the runnier side is as it thickens, it'll cling to that pasta. So I checked the seasoning, needs a little bit of salt. Feel free to do some black pepper in there if you like. I just want to keep it pretty pure today. Hopefully these videos aren't as chaotic as it's been filming today. I feel like normally we structure it that we don't cook a bunch of stuff at the same time, but today we're filming a different way. I undercooked my noodles on purpose a little bit because I wanted to finish it in the sauce and play with the sauce consistency. So I always undercook the noodles by about 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes. If you find your noodles aren't done to your liking, but your sauce is thick, again, you can add more sauce, you can add a splash of water, stuff like that. And then the reason that I make so much is, A, I had to buy a whole squash, so obviously like there's no point in me just using a quarter of a squash and then trying to figure out what else to use. So I made so much sauce, and what's nice about this is you can freeze this for later use, or you can keep it in your fridge for a few days, and if you really like this dish, you can come home, you got sauce made, all you gotta do is throw some noodles on, you know, throw some greens in there, some kale, some spinach, whatever, and you have a nice pasta for the next couple days. And so I like my pastas really saucy. I kind of hate when it's like, because there's so much starch in pasta, as it sits, it continues to get thick. So I always think that you're better off to be like quite saucy when you plate, because a lot of times if it's not that saucy, literally halfway through eating it, you'll find that your pasta is getting super dry. So I always like a little bit of extra sauce in there, just to prevent that from happening. I used orecchiette today. I realized that I used that in a different video. You probably should have switched up the noodles, but I really love this noodle. Go to our plate. Smells so nice and fall-like. Spread it out a little bit, and then I got a few nice garnishes for this. Now squash is super subtle, so I find if you're using like really strong flavors, you can kind of lose the squash. So I didn't want to pick like a really intense cheese. I just wanted like a little bit of goat cheese, because goat cheese doesn't have a ton of flavor, honestly. It's just like this nice creamy kind of whatever. So I'll break apart a little bit of that. I did this ahead of time, but I just took some pearl onions and I peeled them, cut them in half. I love these. I've made these so many times where you just toss them. I used a little bit of that garlic oil that we used earlier as well. And I just tossed them in salt and a little bit of garlic oil. I'm just gonna scatter these around. It's a nice little extra savory element. And then of course, you know, classic pea greens.
You could use like a cheese like ricotta as well, would be really nice. Could do a little bit more onions on top,
A little bit more goat cheese as well, just so you get a little contrast in the color. And then what I mentioned in that video where we did the garlic oil was that it works so well as a finishing oil. I used olive oil in this. A lot of people will finish pasta with olive oil. So I'm just gonna use a little bit of this garlic oil. And that oil is nice because it's not like in your face, like really intense garlic. It's really sweet, like subtle garlic. So I think all these flavors will work nice together. Try and get a bite of everything. Oh, goat cheese is a good call on that. That's nice. The squash is like quite sweet, but it's seasoned well, so it tastes savory. The onions help bring that like really savoriness to it. Pea greens freshen it up a little bit. The cheese is like nice. It's like almost instantly starts to melt. The sauce is like perfect. There's a perfect amount of sauce for me. It's seasoned really nicely all the way through. Yeah, it's great. I just find that like when you're trying to not use much dairy, especially like this is an easy one to make vegan, you can just honestly omit the cheese. Squash is kind of cool because when you puree it, it gives this like really creamy, velvety texture that you don't need dairy for. So even if you're just trying to eat less dairy, you don't have to rely on cream or milk or all these really heavy dairy products to get the same kind of effect that's way creamier than honestly like 35% whipping cream. Let me know if you guys make that, if you like that dish, if you want more stuff like that. If you're liking the fall vibes. Great little dish, good little date meal. If you're trying to get lucky or something, that's a good one to make. People will be impressed by that one. Even if you fuck it up, it like looks pretty. So if that gets anyone success on a date, please let me know in the comments. If you made it this far, if you can do me a favor, leave a comment, hit me with a like, do any of that stuff. And then if you guys make any of this, just DM me on Instagram. I love getting photos and talking to you guys and engaging with whoever's making the food. I love to see other people that are passionate about food and are like genuinely making an effort towards food. I think it's really important. Your skills just keep going up. The more you engage in it, the better you get. So that's it for this video, and I'll see you in the next one.